Welcome to Legends of the Flame, where guardian dragons watch over the night, and every story is told in calm and quiet light. Tonight's story is called The Dragon Who Welcomed the Morning Sun. Beyond the green forests, beyond the silver rivers, and far beyond the mountains, where winter clouds rested upon the highest peaks, there stretched an ancient desert of golden stone and softly shining sand. During the day, sunlight warmed the wide valleys and painted the canyon walls in shades of amber, copper, and deep red. But before dawn, while the stars still filled the sky, the desert became quiet and cool. The dunes rested beneath the darkness. Small desert flowers remained folded between the rocks. Birds slept within sheltered cliffs, and even the wind moved gently, as though it did not wish to disturb the final hours of night. High above the sleeping land stood a sandstone peak known as the Morning Spire. And upon the peak, long before the first light appeared, a guardian dragon waited. His name was Solspire Guardian. He was an ancient dragon of the desert sun realm, with broad wings, the color of glowing amber, and strong bronze scales that reflected even the faintest light. Along his neck rose a crown of dark golden spines, and his patient eyes held the warmth of mornings remembered across countless ages. Solspire was powerful enough to cross the entire desert with only a few movements of his wings. Yet each night, when the stars began their slow journey toward morning, he chose to walk to the summit. He followed an old path that wound between stone pillars, quiet valleys, and tall cliffs shaped by centuries of wind. His steps were slow and steady. There was no reason to hurry. The morning would come when it was ready. As Solspire climbed and the pale moonlight rested upon his wings, the desert air carried the soft scent of sand, stone, and tiny night-blooming flowers. Occasionally, a gentle breeze moved through the canyon, brushing against the scales before continuing toward the distant dunes. Solspire listened carefully as he walked. He heard grains of sand slipping down the side of a dune. He heard the faint rustle of a small creature settling beneath a rock. He heard the almost silent movement of the wind passing through narrow openings in the sandstone. These were not loud or remarkable sounds. They were the quiet breathing of the desert. And Solspire had learned long ago that a peaceful place was never truly silent. It simply spoke softly. The path eventually reached a narrow ledge overlooking the eastern horizon. From there, Solspire could see the desert stretching farther than any traveler had ever walked. Dunes rose and fell like calm golden waves. Ancient cliffs stood in the distance, their dark outlines resting beneath a sky filled with stars. At the center of the ledge was a wide, smooth stone worn by wind and time. Solspire stepped onto it, folded his wings against his side, and sat facing the east. Then he waited. He did not summon the morning sun. He did not command the sky to brighten. He did not believe the dawn belonged to him. Solspire's purpose was much quieter. He was there simply to welcome it. For thousands of mornings, he had watched darkness slowly give way to light. He had seen dawn arrive through clear skies, drifting clouds, desert mist, and gentle rain. No two mornings had ever been exactly the same. Some began with bright ribbons of gold. Others appeared so gradually that the desert seemed to brighten one grain of sand at a time. Solspire treasured them all. For along the horizon, the darkness began to soften. At first, there was only a faint line of pale gray beneath the stars. Then a trace of warm color appeared within it. Soft gold became amber. Amber became orange, and slowly, almost too gently to notice, the eastern sky began to glow. Solspire raised his head. The first light reached the highest clouds and touched their edges with gold. It traveled across the open sky, descended toward the distant cliffs, and finally reached the Morning Spire. A single ray of sunlight rested upon Solspire's face. His bronze scales began to shine. Warm light moved slowly across his neck, down his chest, and along the great wings folded beside him. Solspire closed his eyes and breathed deeply. The morning had arrived. Below the peak, the desert began to awaken. Small golden flowers unfolded their petals between the stones. A pair of birds stirred with a sheltered hollow and greeted the light with quiet calls. Cool shadows withdrew from the canyon walls while the sandstone slowly warmed beneath the rising sun. The morning breeze carried the scent of distant blossoms across the valley. Nothing awakened all at once. Each part of the desert entered the new day in its own time. The flowers opened when they were ready. The birds left their nests when they were ready. The warmth reached the valley floor when it was ready. There was no rushing anywhere beneath the growing light. Solspire remained upon the summit, watching every small beginning. He had always believed that mornings carried a quiet lesson. A new day did not erase the one before it. It did not ask the night to regret its darkness. It simply arrived and offered light. Yesterday could remain behind. Tomorrow could remain beyond the horizon. For now, there was only this morning. This warmth, this breath. When the sun had risen above the distant dunes, Solspire stood and slowly opened his wings. The light shone through their amber membranes, filling them with a soft golden glow. He stretched them toward the sky, allowing the morning breeze to pass gently beneath them. Then he stepped away from the summit and began walking down the ancient path. Solspire did not leave because the sunrise had ended. He carried its warmth with him. Along the path, he paused beside a cluster of tiny flowers growing from a crack in the stone. Their petals were no longer than falling grains of sand, yet each one faced morning sun. Farther down, he found fresh tracks crossing the path where a small desert fox had passed during the night. A feather rested between two stones, trembling whenever the breeze returned. Solspire noticed everything. To him, gratitude was not something spoken. It was the practice of paying attention. Long ago, people had lived among these valleys. The villagers were built beside quiet springs and shaded by tall stone arches. Each morning, before beginning their work, they would turn toward the eastern horizon and watch the first sunlight reach the cliffs. They did not ask the morning for riches. They did not ask it to change their lives. They simply welcomed the day they had been given. Although those villages had faded into the sand, Solspire remembered their custom, and so every dawn he continued it for them. Travelers crossing the deserts sometimes saw the great dragon standing upon the Morning Spire. From far below, his glowing wings appeared to surround the rising sun. Some believed Solspire carried the dawn upon his back. Others believed that without him, morning might forget to return. But the oldest storytellers understood the truth. The sun would rise whether Solspire stood upon the summit or not. The dragon was not there to create the morning. He was there to remind the world that even the most familiar gifts deserve to be welcomed. By the time Solspire reached the valley, the desert was filled with gentle golden light. Birds circled above the cliffs. Warm air drifted between the dunes. Flowers turned their own petals toward the sky. Day had begun without ceremony, without hurry, and without asking anything from those who entered it. Solspire found a sheltered place beneath a wide stone arch. He settled upon the warm sand and folded his wings beside him. From there, he could still see the sunlight moving across the distant hills. Tomorrow, before dawn, he would return to the Morning Spire. He would follow the winding path beneath the stars. He would sit upon the ancient stone, and once again he would welcome the light. For now, his watch was complete. The morning had arrived, the desert was warm, and all was well. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself beneath the quiet stone arch beside Solspire Guardian. The desert around you is peaceful. The sand beneath you is warm. A gentle breeze passes through the valley, carrying the faint scent of golden flowers. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to repair. Morning will come when it is ready. For now, you may rest. Allow the day behind you to grow distant. Let every thought soften like footprints slowly fading beneath the desert wind. Your breathing can become quieter, your shoulders can settle, your hands can rest. There is no need to hurry toward morning. The stars are still above you, Solspire is nearby, and beyond the horizon, the next morning is already waiting patiently to be welcomed. And as the night grows still, the Guardians continue their watch, and their light remains with you until morning. If you enjoy calm dragon legends and quiet Guardian stories, subscribe to Legends of the Flame and return again for another tale from the realms where the dragons still watch.